Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm very excited to announce that we have a balance patch. This probably won't come out, I'm recording it the day of the day of the announcement. It's probably coming out tomorrow, because that's how I like to schedule my videos. So I'm going to be a little late to the party, but before I scroll down, we have a balance patch, a lot of new changes, and I thought it would be fun to look over them with you guys. I'm really interested in the water changes that they're doing, and we'll talk about them. But let's just go through all the buffs and changes. I think that'll be fun. So first we have the Wind Sky Surfer. So he now absorbs the enemy's, instead of absorbing the enemy's attack bar by 100%, he reduces the enemy's attack bar to 0 and increases his attack bar in proportion to the reduced attack bar. Now, when I first read this, I thought it wasn't like even a change at all. And one of my guildmates explained to me that this makes it so that he can no longer gain attack bar when he reduces your... So if he reduces your attack bar to 0 and your attack bar is already at 0, he's not going to gain any attack bar from that. He's only going to get value if he uses it on units with full attack bar. So, is it a nerf? Yes. Does it, like, change him too much? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is going to be enough to put Oliver in a good spot, but, you know, at least it's something. At least they did something to him last patch. They didn't change him at all, so... and then we have the Dark Bison. They removed his HP recovery when he gets attacked while being provoked. I don't know how I feel about that. I think the Dark Bison is like broken, strong, insane unit, right? He can definitely solo things, but like quite frankly, I think it kind of sucks that they took away his healing. Like, is that just me? I think they could have like reduced the amount of healing or something, but to fully take away the sustain, like, kills any chance he has to, try to solo teams. Which, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Is that good or bad? Should he be able to solo teams or no? So I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of guts the unit, really. And then we have the Light Battle Angel. So now she's gone from removing all beneficial effects to removing one beneficial effect. What do we think about that? So potentially she works now like Gemini, where she can do enough damage to break like shield runes and then remove will. That's kind of what you want her to be runed for. She can't fully strip now, so she's really impactful for like turn 1. But if there's other buffs, she's not going to be as good. So it is a bit of a nerf. She's still be useful, really strong for turn 1 teams. I mean, we have like units like Gianna who just fully removes all buffs and stuns. So I don't know. Is that a fair change for her, or should she still be able to do all the strips? We have the Light Kung Fu Girl who, her third skill only absorbs the enemy's attack bar by 20% instead of 25%. I think that's fine. I swear, Light Kung Fu Girl is so strong in Siege right now. Like her cycling potential is insane because she just has the RNG to just keep going and going. So I think a small tweak is fine to her. And then we have the Water Mage, who now revives allies with 20% health instead of 25. I think this is the most pointless change. I don't know. I think this is a really pointless change. Like, I'm not happy with it. I mean, they basically didn't change anything. Her revive HP is already terrible as it is. And so I don't really think it changes anything. I feel like that was like a pointless tweak. I feel like it's already getting harder and harder to use Nana as it is. And so it feels bad that they keep like nerfing her like that. She used to have 60%. And then it went down to like what, 40? And then 25. And now 20%. I mean, at this rate, it's going to keep going down by another percentage every single balance patch. So I don't know. If they can't figure her out with like these kind of nerfs, then maybe she just needs a rework or something. I like the concept of Nana, so that I wish they could get it right. Because really, I mean, I personally, I'm finding it hard to use Nana now with how low the revive is. It's kind of like, what's the point? I'd rather just use a healer so my team doesn't even get low. I don't know. I love Nana with my robot comp, though. That's very fun. All right, and then we have the Light Mage. So now the Light Mage deals additional damage in proportionate to the target's total amount of destroyed HP after destroying the HP, which I think is actually really cool. I think that's good. So they increase the damage amount that it does, which is nice. So hopefully the Light Mage can actually do damage now. A big water change is for the Art Master. I thought this was a nerf when I first saw it, but it's actually it's probably a buff. So now the Art Master's passive, when enemies or allies remove harmful effects, the attack bar of all allies will increase by 15%. So that's anytime your team or the enemy team cleanses. You know, when you think about the amount of attack bar you can gain out of that, it's kind of crazy if you pair it with units that have like frequent cleanses. You know, imagine like Veramos or something with the like Water Art Master, because they spoiler alert, they buff Veramos later on too, so they could have some crazy potential together. That's one thing I don't know about the Water Art Master's passive. It's not per debuff or per ally. Is it per ally removed, or how does that work for AoE cleanses? I might need to test that and get back to you guys on it. Or, you know, maybe someone fact check me in the comments. But the Art Master's passive, when he uses, when the cleanse happens, I think it's just once per cleanse skill, right? And not, if it's an AoE cleanse, it's not for like every ally that gets cleansed, the whole team gets that much attack bar, because that would be insane. I think it's just the 15% attack bar. Does Tetra count as cleansing? With her passive, she just lowers the duration, so maybe not. So Veramos, I think, is the one that would be really good with him. They did reduce the amount of attack bar that gets increased. It's no longer 25%, it's going to be 15%. Then we have the Dark Art Master, who now can grant immunity for 3 turns, which is solid. It's solid. I think his skill, it's what? The immunity, and it has the threat state. And it's a cleanse, right? Doesn't it remove debuffs or something? So that's going to make him more solid, I think. The Ifrits, the Wind and Dark one, have increased stun rate. You know, Veramos I was talking about gets buffed. That's going to make him much better now. We have the Ifrit's passive. He now removes harmful effects before taking damage. That's really good. So he will remove bombs and continuous damage before they apply to him. So that's really effective. And then it's now 15% for each harmful effect remaining on the ally after attacking, when his attack bar increases. So he can cycle more now, which is going to be nice. All right, and then we're back to the Ryu family. So the Strikers, the Ryus, their second skill now absorbs the attack bar of all enemies from a 10 to 20% amount with a 30% chance. So I don't know what that means exactly. Is that going to be there's like an RNG chance of 10 to 20%? So I guess, yeah, it says that it does it randomly. So does that mean it's 10 to 20, or does that mean it can be any number between 10 to 20? I'm not sure, but I guess it's going to help with their skill 2 cycling much more now. I mean, now that the Robos exist, it makes the Ryu's second skill like real bad in comparison. I don't know why they always do this. They always make like those skill 2 skills like broken, and then they nerf it, and then they give another unit it. Like, I say this all the time. We have like Molong, who got gutted, and then it became the Water Ryu, who got gutted, and then the robots. So I guess they're putting the Ryus back in the spotlight a little bit too. So yeah, for the Fire, Light, and Water one. Something interesting though, the Light Ryu now increases your critical rate for 2 turns before attacking. I need to think about this real quick. Doesn't the Light Ryu also buff his own attack? So the Light Ryu buffs his own attack and crit buff. and then nukes like Alicia, I think is so insane. And it sounds like that's awesome, but oh my goodness, that seems so busted. Like as a cleaver, he's literally got everything but like defense break. I don't really remember what the Dark Shadowcaster does. I haven't like really seen him at all used. So hopefully this is enough to make him like useful again, so we can learn what he does. And then the Wind Monkey. I personally hate this change. I think it is a great change for the Wind Monkey, but oh my goodness, this is gonna screw me over big time. So, you guys rip me. Congrats to all of you Wind Monkey owners. This increases the harmful effect activation rate by 50% when counterattacking with the passive skill. So this means his skill 1 stun chance, what's that even going to put it at? I don't want to say it's 100% chance. It might be pretty high, though. Doesn't apply to revenge runes, which is important to note. But anytime he does his counterattacks with his skill 1 to stun, it's pretty much going to be every time. Going to screw my RTA team over so bad because I already hate Wind Monkey because he has a chance to stun and interrupt my team. But now he's going to consistently do it, so I'm probably going to be forced to ban him. It's going to be rough. So a really strong buff for him. Next, we have the Water Paladin. The Water Paladin, I literally just got her the other day, and I built her up, and I now already have to change her build after seeing this. She's great because her first skill won't land as a glancing hit, so I can use that against wind. It is now that her first skill always lands as a critical hit, which is so insane for her. That's so good. Because the Paladin's a unit where you really just want like every stat in the game on her, and so she's really hard to rune. And now this makes it so that you don't have to rune her with any crit rate to be effective. If you guys know stuff about me, I love units that don't need certain stats because it's just great for efficiency. So like any units I can get away with ruining no crit rate on, but still doing damage with, I love it. So I have a really interesting build I'm going to show you guys at the end of this because I can't wait to play around with her for this change. And so I want to show you guys what rune set I prepared for that. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe her counterattack is done with her first skill. So her first skill will always crit, and her passive counterattack will now always be a crit as well. I believe, right? I'm correct on this, probably. I hope so. I'm going to be really sad if it's not. And she's still going to be a hard unit to rune, but it'll make those crit damage builds way easier to do on her. All right, and then we got the Fire Paladin. Grants immunity on all allies for 1 turn. So this, I believe... Yeah, this is for her threat skill. It's a really good buff to her, I think. It might not be as impactful as you think, because when she does her threat state, most of the time you have to focus her. This is more going to help the units that do... or help against the units that do AoE skills. Because if they have AoE skills, they can focus all of your units. They won't be able to control you as much for the 1 turn, which I think is nice. I think that's going to be a really strong change for her. Where are we? The Hell Ladies. Now Shatter, the skill 2. When the attack lands as a critical hit, your attack bar increases by 15% instead of 10%. I think this is just going to help them guarantee that they move next after they use their skill 2. So it doesn't really change much for them. Like mechanically, they still work the same way. I think this just helps prevent them from being interrupted, which is nice. It's a nice change for them, but it's not like game changing or anything, I don't think. Okay, now we have the Archangels, which they no longer have continuous damage on their second skill, but they get a 2-turn defense break. Arguably is going to be way better. Not even arguably. I think 2-turn defense break is way better. What 1 turn? I'm not a fan of 1-turn defense breaks. I feel they feel so useless. Like I'm talking about you, Bison second skills. I wish they do this for the water bison. And I mean, heck, even the wind bison. As strong as that would be on the wind bison, I think they need 2-turn defense break for sure. So now for the Desert Queens, they have their Sweet Dreams skill. And the effect that got added is that targets without beneficial effects are put to sleep for 2 turns. Based off of the wording I see on this, I'm going to speculate that this might be a guaranteed sleep, because the condition is that they don't have any beneficial effects. So this might be a guaranteed sleep, which if so, that could be pretty interesting. They didn't just say that they change it from like a 1-turn sleep to a 2-turn sleep. That'll be good because it'll make them reliable for their skill too. And it's nice to see a buff for the Light Desert Queen. She seems good in theory, but she's not used as often as you'd think. I think her third skill needs a little buff. I'd love to see like some attack bar reduction on that, so she could be like a more toxic Hathor. But we don't want to bring back Canny Hathor into the meta, so who knows? So yeah, let me know what you think about the wording on that skill too. Is that going to be a guaranteed sleep now or no? Okay, now we have the Sea Emperors. Instead of removing 1 beneficial effect, it is now a 2-turn beneficial effect on the enemy. That's gonna be nice for Okeanos. I wonder if that's gonna bring him back into the meta. I know some people still use him, but the biggest issue with him was like the reliability on his skill too. We're gonna see if that's enough. I mean, he's still gonna get resisted, and that's gonna suck. So, but at least he won't get wrecked by multiple debuffs or multiple buffs, not debuffs. It'll give him a higher chance to get the will rune stripped. So the Fire Pioneer now deals damage in proportion to attack power and attack speed on his third skill. Is going to be a great change for him for sure. You want to build him with a lot of speed anyway as like a turn 1 stripper. So the more damage you can fit on him, the better it is going to be for cleaves. So a little extra fluff damage for your damage dealers. I'd be curious to see how much of an actual increase the damage is. I don't think it's a bad change for him. I think it's a step in a good direction for him. All right, now we have the Water Demon. The shield amount is increased by 71%. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not excited for it. I mechanically, I don't like that the passive works in a way where you need a shield. If they wanted to make the demons interesting, here's the kind of change I'd want to see. I want the demons to be able to revive and get the guaranteed turn. I think if we want to make the water demon more of a threat in his little turn cooldown state, he should be able to cut units and guarantee a turn so that, once is it 12 turn cooldown or something? I think once his 12 turns are up, he's guaranteed to cut and interrupt something. So say you have like Diana who's transforming mid-passive and is guaranteed to like get the turn. He can interrupt that and, potentially snipe her when she's in like the weakened human form state. That would be really interesting and, would punish units like that who just cycle so much. I think that would be really cool. That's something I really want to see for him. Is the shield being thicker is going to help, I guess. I guess it's going to help units that can still strip the shield. They're going to bypass it or ignore the shield. We'll just get them anyway. All the more reason to invest in attack bar and revive artifacts and maybe giving him some speed so he doesn't get cut. If it's like that, though, like you don't even need the shield. I don't know. The shield's going to be kind of helpful, but am I excited about the change? Not really. Not really. I still think that needs some changes. Now, these might be more of the interesting changes. We have the Hypno Meows. So now they get their attack speed's increased by 30% while they're asleep. I think that's actually really exciting because they're going to be able to cycle turns very quickly, especially the Water Hypno Meow. I made a video on him. He gains 50% attack bar when he gets woken up from sleep. And so now that he's going to be faster while he's sleeping, means his attack bar is already going to be pretty high by the time he gets woken up. It's possible that he's just going to constantly be cycling turns. And I think that's going to be really good for him. I think that's a good buff in the right direction for the Hypnomeows. What do you guys think? Is that going to be good for the other ones? There hasn't been too much play of the other ones. I think the fire one is the one with the 2-turn sleep AoE. And now we get to look at the assassins. So the water assassin actually got a buff. Stella now absorbs the enemy's attack bar by 50%. And that's different than decreasing the attack bar. So not only did they increase the amount by 5%, but now she absorbs it. I believe it's 7 hits on her 3rd skill. Each of those hits now has a chance to absorb the attack bar by 15%, which means, what is math? We got, 15? 15 times 7? It's a lot. I believe, correct my math, I believe it's going to be 105% absorb. Assuming she lands all 7 absorbs, because I'm sure there's going to be the accuracy resistance check, but assuming she lands it all, she can get 105% attack bar. And her 3rd skill, which does not go on cooldown if you kill the target, will mean that she can potentially cycle multiple turns and just keep nuking, which I find that very exciting. Now, I will say the team I've most seen Stella used against is going to be like the Shina, Martina, Triana, which she's really good against those teams. The only problem is that those teams are very often built with will runes. This is a cool change. I'm interested to see how impactful it's actually going to be. I think for teams where you have like strippers, to remove the immunity and kind of control them that way, Stella might be way more impactful in those. But I don't think it's going to change too much for her counter as a Shina, Martina, Triana counter. All right, sorry, I had to give my throat a little break. I'm still a little sick, so my voice is like drying out and not being too good. Okay, where were we? We have the Wind Assassin. So the attack target's changed. It used to assault a random enemy if the attack kills the target. Now it attacks the enemy with the lowest HP if the attack kills the target. The Wind Assassin, does it have the potential to keep chaining kills? Is that a thing for the Wind Assassin, or no? Is it only just like the one-time attack? I haven't seen too much of the Wind Assassin. Can it change like chain kills like that? It'd be pretty cool if she could. And I guess that'll be smarter AI is going to be good for sure. We have the Light Assassin. Oh, now has a full attack bar decrease. That's kind of good for like control teams, huh? Because doesn't she also spreads like an AoE silence, so that's going to be pretty gross. And then the Dark one, while Endless Death is on cooldown, the damage you deal is increased by 50%. Is that good? Is that a good change? I remember the Dark Assassin, she gets her skill back when you kill things, right? Does she also get it back when an ally dies or something? I don't know. But I feel like she always has her 3rd skill back up. So will you ever really get much value? I guess this is to help her get her 3rd skill back up quicker so she can kill stuff with like her other skills. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that change. Now we have the Water Heart Magician. They finally changed the Heart Magician, and we got a Celia buff too. I feel like this is a step in the right direction for the Heart Magician. I don't know if it's enough to make her like good, but at least it's a step. They have changed it so that her shield is not based off of the damage she deals with the skill. It is now based off of the max HP of the caster. So now her shield is equivalent to 30% of her max HP on all allies for 3 turns. I think that's a really good change for her, because it was so weird that it was based off of damage. Because she didn't like really do damage either. And it made her really weird to rune. And then they also changed the second skill. It now has a 60% chance to put them to sleep, which I don't know what the max, like what that goes up to with skill ups. Does that make it a 100% chance now? I'm not sure if it makes it a 100% chance now. I don't know if that fixes the skill 2 targeting, because like I think the skill 2 is kind of random in that sense if it still targets everything. So we'll see how effective that is. It also is now a 2-turn dot instead of 1. The Heart Magicians might be back potentially. If they are, guys, the Hypno Meows are amazing against them. Be sure to rune them up for that. Water one especially is really good against Celia. I will probably be trying out the Water Heart Magician at some point. I still can't figure out where she's good to use. Maybe a siege team with like the Water Succubus, because they both sleep, could be okay. I still haven't found out a good spot to use her in. I know some people have used her in RTA, but not me. I can't get that to work. The Fire Grim Reaper got a buff, of all things. And this is really weird to see. They buffed a second awakened unit. Only one. Come to us if you're going to be buffing second awakened units, please. Please take a look at all the other ones who like actually need buffs. The Fire Grim Reaper is so strong because of his passive, so they really buffed him of all things. But whatever. So now if you attack an enemy who already has continuous damage, your attack won't land as a glancing hit. This makes him really good in Giants. For those of you who do that free-to-play Giants team, now he will no longer glance against the water units in Giants, which is everything. So wow, really strong change for the Fire Grim Reaper. Does it make him effective against me? I guess. I've never faced a Fire Grim Reaper, but it's a good change for him. I'm fine with the change. It's a good change for him. I wish they wouldn't only just buff one second awakened unit. There's plenty of other units that are way worse than him that need some taking looks at. Maybe in a future balance patch, they're saving them all for like a big balance patch after the RTA season ends. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, and lastly we have, or I guess not lastly, we have the Phantom Thief. So the fire one now deals 100% more damage if the enemy's HP is higher than your HP. It no longer has to be twice. That's a cool change for the Fire Thief. He does a lot of damage. So cool unit. My brother really likes to play around with him. I know Sean B likes him too. Cool unit. I've seen videos on the other YouTubers using him. So yeah, he's a cool unit. Good buff for him. The Dark one. Oh, interesting. So the Dark one now, when the attack lands as a critical hit, your critical damage increased by 100%. That's a cool change. He's going to do a lot more damage now. Make him easier to rune. I don't know if that means you want to invest in more like attack percent or what, but the math is there somewhere. I'm sure someone far smarter than me will figure it out. The Scene of the Crime, which I believe is the first skill. So they all get a 30% crit rate bonus to their first skill. Is that going to be good? Maybe it is. I don't know. Like the water one has 2 crushing hit skills, so crit rate doesn't matter for him. So I guess it's going to make his first skill a little bit more effective. I don't know. And for the other elements, I mean, do they have other crit rate increasing skills? Because if they don't, it's kind of weird to leave them at 70% crit rate to get value out of the first skill increase. Someone can point it out to me in the comments if this is a good change. I don't feel like looking at the Phantom Thieves to see if it's good for them or not. But and then we have the Hargs. So Fire Harg now heals for 15% instead of 10%, which is great. Good change for him. It's kind of cool when the Fire Harg was meta. Problem is that his base stats are so bad, so he really needs a second awakening to be good. And I wonder, I don't know, guys, do you think this is hinting at a second awaken change, maybe? Maybe they're buffing him in time for that? I don't know. And the Dark Owl, sorry, the Dark Harg. So Dark Harg now gains an instant turn after using his skill, and they reduce the cooldown of it. Which means it's gonna, or no. They increase the cooldown. It's now 6 to 7, so they increased the cooldown but gave him an additional turn. So it's still gonna be 6 turns, but now he gets to use a move after that. So I guess that it is a buff for him. It is a buff. Not terrible. Gotta remember what his skill actually does. I don't know, I think it does like some recovery or something, as well as other things. Let me know if that's going to be a good change for him. The only other things to note, the Wind Assassin has crit rate awakening instead of resistance, and the Wind Harg now has, they now awakens into attack speed. So, you know, anytime there's like a attack speed awakening unit, you gotta look at how good they're gonna be now. It might be good for him. He might be more interesting now. We'll see. We'll see what effects he has on the meta. All right, and that's it for all of these. This is all just descriptions and changes. No other awakening changes or unit type changes, which sucks. All those poor units that are the wrong stat types. I'm talking about you, Trinity. One last thing before I end off the video. I talked about the Wind Paladin or not the Wind Paladin, gosh, the Water Paladin. Water Paladin now has guaranteed crits on her first skill. And so I wanted to show you guys a wacky build that I want to test out on her. So you don't have to invest in any crit rate on her. And so this can use a little improvement already. I have some crit rate I can change out to more accuracy. I have it in RTA because I'm not going to be applying it to my actual one yet because the balance patch isn't live yet. These are the stats. I want you, before I show you the runes, I want you to go ahead and just take a guess for me how I have her runes, because it might shock you. But we have a lot of HP, good amount of defense, I think some solid speed. We have 151 crit damage and 35% accuracy. Now her artifact gives 10% slot 1 or skill 1 and skill 2 accuracy. So that puts her up to 45%. And then I will eventually be getting more accuracy on there. You know, I'll put on a 5 to 8 or like 6 to 9% something accuracy when I can get one from R5. Maybe a legend accuracy if it'll give me it, but. And that'll give her some more accuracy, because you do want accuracy on Josephine. She's pretty dependent on that. Before I show you, I will say, I love collecting niche runes that are like really good efficiently, even though they make no sense as a whole. Like being able to figure out like, a rune that, you know, is like cool in concept, but really hard to actually make use of, and like finding a use for that rune is so fun for me. So this is the build. We have her Violent. She is on a broken set, and you'll see why she's on a broken set in a second. But we have our slot 1. This is the one I will be changing out for the crit rate for accuracy. We have this one, which doesn't have HP percent on this, surprisingly, but it does have all the other stats and some crit damage. We have this rune. I wish it was a quad. It rolled perfect 3 times and then rolled once into crit damage, and I was like, how am I ever going to use this? And there we go. And then her slot 4, I actually could increase the speed a little bit. Do I have grinds? No, I don't. Okay. All right, and these final 2 runes, believe it or not, these are very niche runes I never thought I'd find a use for, but I did. We have this one right here. It is a quad crit damage, you know, slot 6 HP. I could even increase the defense more when I get a grind for it. I tried to enchant in speed. It was like a legend. I literally both legend grinds. We got a 9 out of 10, I think, which was good. And we rolled a 4 instead of a 5, which is a shame. And then this one, this beauty of an ancient rune. Another quad. This was the weirdest rune I've rolled, and I was like, how am I ever going to use this? So 33% crit damage. I think the max for crit damage is 35, right? I'm pretty sure, 7 times 5 is 35. I never thought I'd find a use for this rune, but I still held on to it because it was a quad roll crit damage. It's got all of the stats she needs. Now, I will say my Josephine doesn't have any attack percent. I get that. Right now, I'm trying her without it, and we'll see if she's still effective. It would be nice if they made her skill 1 deal damage based off her max HP, but maybe that would be too much. In RTA, it won't matter as much. I think it's better, but I acknowledge that I don't have any attack on my Josephine, but we're trying her out this way first. I have 2 quad crit damage runes on her, and they're all HP percent, so it's kind of like, when would you ever make use of these? Just a quick little sneak peek. This is going to be the artifacts. I'll show the artifacts. I put skill 1 crit damage in. It has life drain, which isn't ideal. I just really need the accuracy. And this one, we have counterattack damage is increased, which will apply to her passive and her skill 2 counter. So I think that's good to have on her. We have less crit damage taken and additional damage based off max HP. And then I currently have speed proportional to lost HP. I might do attack proportionate to lost HP. Maybe, depending. I don't know which. I don't really know what's better. Maybe I'll just do like minus damage from wind or something when I can get it. That's my Josephine. I will absolutely be making a video on her once the patch is live. So, if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. Stop on by. I'll be making one of those, and little teaser for you is if you stayed to the end, you can see the crazy build I got for her going. All right. But that is going to be the video. If you did enjoy, do let me know in the comments down below. There's a lot of changes. I'm not sure how I feel about the balance patch. They didn't really I don't think anything has been meta changing or anything. That's probably because the season's close to ending. So these might be more light changes to keep us satisfied. How do you guys feel about the balance patch? Are you happy or not? That's another thing I'd be curious to know. That is going to be it for the video. Bye-bye, everybody.